Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
All right, you guys ready to do this? Welcome. It is Sunday, about 9:40. I was sitting there going, maybe I should do it live. So I did a blog earlier today. It took me forever to get it done because I had to look at so much stuff for severe weather, both also and the Eclipse, and then maybe some more severe weather the week after. So there's a lot to look at. But anyway, so I've got that out. So if you do want a printed text version of this broadcast, you can make sure you share my blog and to everyone else you know, friends and family in the southern plains area on into the Midwest, as we do tell you where the best viewing area of the eclipse will be. So some good news on that front. We're going to dive into that here in just a second. So thanks for joining me out there on YouTube land and also on Rumble and on, Facebook, of course. Good to see you guys checking in. All right, so let's just go ahead and get on with it, right? Because I got some things to do. I got to jump in the shower. I don't know about you, but it's been a long day. Let's see here. Let me. By the way, we post the links to where you can join the Facebook broadcast channel. Once again, like I normally do in the chat section, so just take a look at it there. Sam, I see you. Throw me some stars tonight. I appreciate you. All right, let's take a look here at the. First off, let me go ahead and get the severe weather aspect out of the way because we're going to have to deal with that here for tomorrow across North Texas, Northwest, and some of that work its way into southern Oklahoma. Indicated there from the Storm Prediction Center across that big yellow circle. Let's take a close-up view of that here for Oklahoma, and it does show you out here into, let's just say south of I-40, and then the other little area of enhanced region, kind of around the Wichita Falls area on into northwestern Texas. So that's for basically some big hail and some wind. The tornado threat is very low. It's not zero, but it is low. We do have a storm system coming in from the west, southwest part of the country. You can see it dipping down there in the jet stream pattern across Arizona as we head into Monday, and that will slowly work its way through Texas on Tuesday and into Wednesday. So it's a slow mover, and it is coming right across the Dallas-Fort Worth area probably by Wednesday afternoon. So that's where the best shear and the best instability will be just mainly down to our south. So we're going to get the northern fringe of that. If we were to look in the mid-levels atmosphere as far as kick-starting time for precipitation, this is at 7 o'clock tomorrow. We see these little bright areas that show up. That's where you're starting to get the best lift to get some thunderstorms to develop. So kind of two areas, one out here closer to the upper low, and the other one out here across central North Texas and northeastern Texas. And that's just the first of many waves that we're going to have for precipitation until that upper level low moves through. So we're going to have a little bit of rain in the forecast here for Oklahoma. All right, well, of course, it depends on where the dew point value lies. That's where you get the best instability and moisture. So, and for storms. So if you look here for tomorrow evening, we do have a layer here of 70 dew point values in 60s coming in from the Dallas-Fort Worth area on into that little sweet spot here in the northwestern part of Texas. But it again is coming at the last hour. So a lot of these storms that do develop down here, they kind of miss getting into that better air. Of course, it's just one model. Others may have the moisture a little bit more to the north, but this is the NAM 3 kilometer just came out, and it's usually pretty good. But you can see the moisture does feed, though, into southern Oklahoma as we get toward the midnight hour. So any storms that do move in that environment will at least have a lot more instability to work with overnight. So to expect some thunderstorms to deal with at that point in time. And, of course, that humidity will stay anchored down there in Texas. We're kind of on the northern fringe of that, as you can see in Oklahoma, kind of splitting the state in half. So roughly right along I-44 from Tulsa right here on the arrow to Oklahoma City. You can see how we're mostly in this little slot of dryness. Those are dew point values in the 40s. So weather should be pretty nice across kind of like the northwestern half of the state, whereas the southeastern half of the state, a little more moist clouds, a little bit more rain. All right, let's take a look at that rain, matter of fact. We'll zoom in the big picture kind of first off to give you kind of what's happening. So by tomorrow morning, there are some showers and thunderstorms down here along Texas coastline, Louisiana, up to the north and east. As we head to the lunchtime hour, we'll have more of those in that same vicinity. Remember, we had talked about this last few days where the models had kind of a line in the sand for rainfall for the eclipse on Monday. So by lunchtime, and that is where that's going to remain. So that is good. The models did very well at that. And as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, you will see that progresses northward out of that zone. These thunderstorms will start to move into northeastern and northern Texas. You can see that new blow up out here to the south and west of us. As we head into the evening hours, this particular model keeps the thunderstorms right along the Red River. It does have a few sneaking in here over south central Oklahoma, but for the most part keeps them down south. This is just one, and I'll zoom into another model that we'll look at here in a minute. But through the evening, it kind of keeps it down there across North Texas with some pockets of wind and hail, and across southern Oklahoma some heavy rainfall at that. And that first wave moves on off. And then we have a secondary wave that kind of rebuilds and takes its place for Tuesday afternoon, kind of in the same areas. So again, with that upper level low positioned where it is, we're going to be in the northern fringe of all this activity. But there you go, right along the Red River Valley for Tuesday evening on into Tuesday night. Some of that will drift north there, as you can see, across the state. So here's a close-up view of that, and then we'll get into your eclipse forecast. So let's go on into tomorrow. Let's see, let me refresh this one. All right, so here we go. So there's a little bit of light rain activity let me back this up because that was a little quick. Here we go, Monday in the evening. So there's a few of those thunderstorms like we talked about down here in northwestern Texas. Earlier data sets had them into this part of the state as well, but it looks like there has been a little bit of a shift to keep them down south. There's Wichita Falls, a pretty nasty supercell. These are helicity tracks indicating potential for a tornado, but mostly for hail and wind. That will move off to the east, ride the Red River, and there's some activity there in Oklahoma, central Oklahoma during the midnight hour. Otherwise, the heavy stuff is down across southern Oklahoma and into North Texas. So Dallas-Fort Worth, kind of the bullseye this time around. They're usually pretty quiet when it comes to severe weather. And this time around, they're going to be right smack in the middle of it, and we're going to be on the cool, chilly side. All right, and we said the next round will then come in for Tuesday in the morning hours there in southwest Oklahoma. We'll get a taste of it on Tuesday here across the central Oklahoma, but otherwise mostly just light stuff here, and the rest of it kind of confined down south throughout the day on Tuesday. And then Tuesday night and Wednesday will be another round out here doing the same thing, rinse, repeat, kind of in this fashion, and points southward. So it does lead to some pretty decent rainfall. I will put the rainfall amounts on here real quick, and I'll show you. Let's do a model blend, and we'll do that if it go out far enough. Yeah, far enough, good enough. All right, so as you can see, here's I-40. So basically, I-40 and points south is where the decent amounts of moisture into rainfall will be. As you go up north, it gets less and less, and really not a whole lot out here in the Panhandle, but potentially some flooding rainfall once you get into northeastern Texas, maybe far southeast Oklahoma and into southwestern Arkansas by the time we clear things out by Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. The type model earlier that I like to use had those little thunderstorms a little bit more to the north. You see those little helicity tracks making their way into southern Oklahoma for Monday night, overnight, around midnight. So if this model were to pan out, again, that's a little bit of hail and little pockets of wind here for far southern Oklahoma. But again, it looks more likely that someone's going to be making its way to the south. So let's jump on into the eclipse. Let's have some fun. So as we mentioned, the peak of the eclipse viewing, this is the totality strip here. So in other words, we'll still have the eclipse, everywhere else across Oklahoma. You just won't see total darkness unless you're in this little path, and that'll be right around 150 across western Arkansas and between there and Dallas, and then around 145. So that's kind of like the general time that you want to be, but otherwise really starting after about 12:30 is when you'll start to see it. So let's talk about the cloud cover. Now, so this, like I said, things have been getting a little bit better with cloud cover. If you live around the Dallas-Fort Worth area along the line to this particular path right here, of course, you can see the eclipse right there in the red line. So things are looking better. It was quite cloudy in the earlier days in the model data, and this is what we call the total cloud cover in percentage, right? But doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad news, because we can also use cloud thickness. In other words, how much of those clouds are actually going to block out the sun. And if you look at those numbers, it's even better. We're only talking about upper teens to 20-25% in this area for Dallas-Fort Worth. That's a huge improvement. Up here around Paris, Texas, Texarkana, again, about 25% blockage. So, as you know, if you were to wear, I don't know, you put on some window tint film in your car, right? You can put that light stuff on and see right through it, or you can go opaque, where you can barely see out. Well, that'd be down here. You barely see out down here in the blue where it's up to about 100% blockage. Once you get south to Lufkin up toward the Woodlands, Lake Charles, or actually over 50 or 60% down there. But that's where you have a difficult time kind of in this darker blue area of seeing some sunshine during all this. The rest of it, though, is quite a bit better. Still, there'll be some clouds, but at least that's a little bit of improvement. Let's go up to Arkansas. Same ideal here. This is the percent of solar radiation blocked through the clouds, and we're looking at 15, 16, 6%, 5%, so that's pretty good. If you look at cloud cover itself, only 18, 20, 22, 31%. So it's kind of a sweet spot right in the path. I mean, we really lucked out. I mean, the way things are going, because this little line had been moving around little by little. Here's a look at Missouri. A little bit of clouds here. This is mainly high-level clouds in this part of the state. But right here where the track is, it gets a lot better quite quickly once you get closer to the Arkansas border. And if we mention the fact that you can get the cloud thickness measured in the model data back in that same zone, looks like here 5%, 6%, 5% blocked. So that's really good. So great viewing conditions here for southern Illinois and Missouri, pretty much most of Arkansas, even southeastern Oklahoma, and even on into maybe even better than North Texas. You know, it's not as bad as it once looked. Now, if I want to show you, so let's go back here. Let me show what I'm going to do. And let me pick this image here, just to kind of take home what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to draw a line from Dallas-Fort Worth in a straight line like this, all right, along the path. All right, so this is basically just going to be a one line. If you were just to be able to fly in a straight line in a plane from just southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth in the southeast Missouri, this is what it looks like. All right, so this is from point A to point B. See that on your map? So on this picture is point A. Over here is point B. And this is a vertical cross section of the sky. So up is up, right arrow up. All right. That means by the time you get to B in this area right here, if we look at around 25, 35,000 feet, you see this light little area of humidity, right around 55, 65, 75%. That's that high level clouds I talked about. Those are the cirrus clouds. If you look back in here, it's very dry. Little patch of moisture here. So if we look again at A, this is going to be Dallas-Fort Worth. Over here, this is going to be Missouri. All right, looking up. If you look up straight up of the sky. So down here in the A area, remember we had that moisture kind of knocking on the door? And if you go right here in between, about halfway, this is the halfway point right here. All right. So the halfway point, as you notice, which is basically the southeastern tip of Oklahoma, through all of Arkansas, Missouri, the lower level of the atmosphere, we are bone dry. It means you don't have to worry about low clouds, you don't have to worry about a lot of blockage. And like I said, by this point, all you have is the upper level cirrus deck, and it's pretty thin as well, kind of holding in the 50 to 60% category for the most part. So that means some good viewing here across Arkansas, Missouri. So let's go back over here to the left of the line, right? So left of the line is right here on our little A to B graphic. So back here toward A, Dallas-Fort Worth. This would be like North Texas, be Paris, you know, that kind of area. So the deal is, you can see there's some green here. That's relative humidity, and that's right around the 75 to 85, 90%. So what that does mean is that there is a little bit of humidity in the form of some cloud cover at the lower levels of the atmosphere. All right, so it's low clouds. Might be a little bit of cumulus, could be a stratus deck. Kind of in this area from, if I draw on this map here, here's the Texas line, from there to Dallas, right? But the funny thing is, you get to Dallas, which is right about in this little section, you get a lot less green, a lot more white, which means the relative humidity drops down to 50%. So what that means is that the atmosphere is mixing out quite a bit around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So if it mixes out across the Dallas-Fort Worth area, then that means you have a better shot at clearing out in time to see the solar eclipse around lunchtime. So what also interesting is what happens on a solar eclipse is that when the sun is gone, so the sun is a driver of our weather, all right? So it heats the ground, causes thermal lifting of air, like kind of, you can't see it, it's visible, but it's bubbles of parcels of air that bubble up. And as that gets caught in the moisture gets higher and higher, starts to build a little bit of cloudiness. We call them cumulus clouds. Well, when that sun starts to go away, both normal time of the day, right? Or in an artificial manner, like in tomorrow, what happens is all that heat's gone like an instant, like a flash. And all of a sudden it cools everything down. And it can cool by a degree or a few degrees, just depends on where you are on the track, you know, if your atmosphere is a little drier or warmer or wetter. But what happens is, without that extra heating, all of a sudden those clouds that were building up, they disappear. All right, they vanish. So a lot of the cumulus clouds that you will see along the track of the eclipse will disappear when that happens. Now, it doesn't have quite as much of an effect on any other cloud layer because, again, it's a thermal heating base. So stratus, I'm not sure how much it's going to have on the stratus deck. It may have a little bit. It doesn't affect anything up in the upper levels of the atmosphere like the cirrus clouds. But, again, we don't see any severe blockage from that around this part of the country, which is good news. Even though they'll be out there, you'll still be able to see through them. You'll still be able to see the sun through the clouds at that level. But kind of a neat little thing that you might notice if you are out and about looking at the eclipse stuff for tomorrow. You do see those clouds kind of disappear rather quickly. That would be the reason why. And scientists like from NASA, they're launching, I think, rockets in the Northeast. They want to measure how things look in the atmosphere on either side of that track. They're just trying to study it to see what all effects happen when you do get that drastic change from the solar radiation. Both probably in temperature and whatever happens in the vertical column for mixing for the atmosphere, for air column, and for winds and stuff. So they'll do some tests, kind of figure out what happens there. Put it in the old bucket to learn from and use in the future for who knows what. They'll figure something out for it. But you might as well, right? You don't get it a whole lot to do. But anyway, so I hope that was helpful. So bottom line is some severe storms in northwestern northern Texas late tomorrow in the evening hours and overnight. A little bit of wind and hail. There is a low probability of a tornado. And then for the eclipse viewing, like I said, if you're from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it looks like thumbs up, which is much better than what they were before. But from that point, northeast through southeast Oklahoma, there's going to be a little bit of clouds there to mix out, but it shouldn't be completely overcast. It should have breaks in them to be able to see the sun. And then looking good for southeast Oklahoma and Arkansas and Missouri. Little high clouds in Missouri, but no big deal. So really, we did really good. The upper level low that's causing all this, all it has to do is just make a little bit of adjust in its tracks, and all of a sudden those clouds come and go real easy. So it's the driver that brings in the moisture, and it's all about the timing, all about the track, and the models are pretty persistent that it was wrong place, wrong time, and it was very slow, which again is all good. So that kind of gave us a little bit wiggle room, just a few extra hours to squeeze in before all that rest of that moisture did arrive. So we're going to go from favorable viewing conditions to showers and storms just a few hours later. That's how close it was. And you're trying to predict that days or weeks away, you're not going to get it. But now that we're in that small window of time, hey, they finally got it. But, it is what it is. But, hey, that means a lot of us are going to be, that are in plans on doing the viewing, is going to be a lot better smiles than what they would have been before if they're all staring through clouds. But that's it. I don't think I'll be joining the crazy, going out, driving out. I'd have to drive to Fort Smith and then go east a little bit. So if you are like in Oklahoma City, for example, and you do want to head out, you would have to drive 3 hours, east on I-40. Just go due east, and you'll run right into the path. The only thing I can't tell you is, how will I-40 be traffic-wise. Most people may already be at their destination, may not be that bad. Others may be trying to do, a quick day trip. If so, that 3 hour drive from here may end up turning into be, 6 hour. I have no idea. You can get on Google Maps or Waze and see what's going to take you. Get up in the morning if you want to do it. Give yourself a few extra hours. Same thing for Tulsa. You just hop down southeast through Broken Arrow and on down to 40 and zip on across, and you're a lot closer than Oklahoma City. Same idea. You'd be good to go. So others of you, I don't know wherever you're going to go, but enjoy it. I don't think the world's going to end, contrary to everybody on social media, although some of those posts are quite laughable. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here for tonight. Hope you guys have a great week ahead. Hope you have a good night. Thanks for watching and joining me, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Appreciate you.